struggling. This is always the hardest week of the school year for me. Turning in the first quarter grades is right before my big push for recommendation letters, is right before the SAT in November, is right around the time that parents get really involved with grades, is right around the time that I got to worry about Halloween for my children and the costumes and stuff. And so I'm like worn to a very fragile, meager remnant of my usual glory. I hope you'll bear with me. I am exhausted, losing my voice, trying not to get sick, and as you've noticed, way behind in our lecture for this unit. So make sure that your 4.4 is ready for stamping. Someone will stamp it whenever that's available. Also, take out your 4.1, because we're going to hopefully finish that in class today. And I'd like to show you a preview and talk about after-school films, too. Okay. So, tonight, I'm showing a movie called Dirt, and it's about, and I gotta tell you, tonight's movie is, in many ways, thumbs up. In some ways, maybe it's thumbs down. I don't know. It is optimistic, lighthearted, very well made. Has like kind of upbeat tone and music, and it has like exciting and attention-grabbing visuals, animated. Kids usually like it, but it's a little bit repetitive, and it doesn't have like a constant driving, intellectually framed plot line. Like, if you show up for the movie and you fall asleep for 5 minutes and you wake up, you won't really notice that you've been asleep for 5 minutes. Because the movie's like, hey, here's an exciting and visually interesting animation about how dirt is cool. And then the plot just goes, okay, and now here's the other thing about dirt. And it's like, back to dirt. And like the movie's just kind of like, whoa, okay, dirt, got it, dirt's good, okay, later. Like, I gotta admit, just to give you like an honest disclosure, it's the best movie I've ever seen about dirt. But, it's kind of like just about dirt. So they do the best they can, but just about dirt. There is one thing that's rad. The movie helps me stress something that I need you to think about, but few of you think about. Which is that dirt is a living ecosystem. Dirt's a whole food web. And the movie's really good at that. They have visuals for this. They have a lot of conversation about this. They have a lot of numbers that put it in perspective for you. Okay, the theatrical trailer.
We depend on dirt to purify and fuel the systems that sustain us.
If we don't take care of the soil, which is just the first 5 centimeters layer of life on the earth, our future is totally condemned.
This much soil probably has in it tens of billions of microorganisms.
Dirt might be more alive than we are.
You've got to grow food for humanity, and at the same time, you've got to grow food for nature.
Most of the world considers this wood as a viable building material.
We are dirt.
A third of our topsoil we've lost in the last 100 years. Industrial farming created a huge demand for nitrogen fertilizer.
25% of greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the war against soil.
deadly conflicts are breaking out over our dwindling supply of fertile soil.
Conflict over dirt.
The entire Brazilian rainforest is being cut down for expansion of soil. Flood, drought, climate change, even war, all directly related to the way we are treating dirt.
If we started to replant, in 10 years we will no more dead land.
Bring the processes of the wild to the farm.
To collect and preserve the seed varieties, the entire region regains biodiversity.
Preserving the soil by doing it organically.
What we want to do is green as many of our urban areas as possible.
A lot of times in the city, there's actually no dirt. We peel back a 4-inch layer of tar and oil.
This place used to be all concrete.
As soon as we started composting, everybody said, oh, that's what the Indians used to do.
God made dirt and dirt don't hurt.
There's plenty for everybody in the structure of nature.
Thanks so much.
Tonight, 6 p.m., about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I recommend this movie, but not as highly as my last movie. This one, slightly narrower scope and slightly narrower interest, I would say. Slightly narrower appeal. Okay. In period 3, who's absent? Hadley Boyd? Who? Was that a word? I'm sorry. It's not your fault. I mean, you said death. Allie, thank you. Oh, yeah. Yes. Who is that? Who's this there? All right, children. Next, Friday we will meet in the greenhouse. That's tomorrow. We'll bring you 2 cups of soil. At least remember to scrape off the organic material on top. And you'll need a very thorough procedure because tomorrow's lab is very time consuming. Are there any questions about how to prepare for tomorrow's lab? Today, I need to bombard you with a flurry of study goals. I'm dying. And I have a sense, talking to the students in periods 1 and 2, that most kids don't have a very thorough note-taking going on around now. And that's a big problem. Because there's a lot of details in this unit that I think students are missing. Like I ask questions, like everybody got number 4, then I'll ask questions, nobody got it. So you're all really smart, but I hope you're ready to take a ton of notes. This goes really fast. Okay. In assignment 4.1. Oh, and BC Dubs. How many of you are aware that you can get all these lectures on the Facebook group? How many of you are still not using the Facebook group? reason to suggest that you use a real Facebook identity. That's probably just a hassle and everybody hates Facebook. That said, I really think you should make a dummy persona so that you can at least get the academic content from the Facebook group. It does a good job of paralleling the class, and we are building up our Facebook content. So not only are videos on there of our lectures daily, but soon we'll have extra credit on there that parallels the course content with additional information. All right. We did vote chapter 4.1 yesterday. Question from Erasmus and synergistic effects. Did we talk about study rule number 1? All right. I'm assuming that everybody read their book, so I'll just give you 1 star for that study goal, number 1. But in addition to what your book said, there's one thing that I really need to highlight. I guess it was in the book, but a lot of my kids didn't know it. China has growing populations, shrinking numbers of farm workers because they're all going to the cities, dwindling water supplies, they've already maxed out irrigation, so they have more people with less food production and less water per person. That formula. However, there's one thing that I need you to think about in China, which is coincidentally a problem for the rest of the world, too. If a Chinese person used to earn $40 per month, and now they own $60 per month, can they afford to buy a new car? Probably not. Can they afford to take an international cruise on a vacation cruise liner? Probably not. Are they going to buy like a huge big screen TV? Probably not. Are they going to buy a big fancy house? Probably not. You know what they're going to do with their extra $20? They'll eat better. In China, meat was a luxury once or twice a month. In the last 20 years, per capita red meat consumption in China has like quadrupled. Because if you got a couple extra bucks in your wallet, the first thing you're going to do is eat that one thing you couldn't afford last month. As the wealth of Chinese people grows, the amount that they eat up the food web is also growing. I don't want to paint too broad of a stroke here, but I would say that most Chinese people are probably omnivores. I think that's a safe statement. What we notice, though, is as China's wealth per capita has increased, the amount of meat per capita has increased even faster. Luxury goods come later. A small percentage of Chinese people are rich enough to buy the extra cars for their growing car market, the extra TVs for their electronics market, the extra real estate in their explosive real estate market, but every Chinese person down to the peasants with slightly better wages and slightly better quality of life means they're eating higher on the food web. So here's another way to think about this. Each Chinese person needs more farmland to feed them. Do you remember that thing about acreage of corn versus acreage of corn for cows for humans? 10 to 1. As Chinese people eat further up the food web, their agricultural footprint is growing. So China has done something very interesting. Because their per capita wealth has grown faster than their neighboring countries, they've outsourced food production. So now, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, they're all exporting all their rice to China. In other words, now that